Okay, so we're going to start with this. This was some news of the day from Candace Owens, one of my favorite people on earth. I don't have an exactly a personal problem with her, but her takes suck, and so they're worth combating. So what's happened here, to give you the context, is that TPUSA she has been making some pretty crazy allegations about for a while. At least I consider them crazy allegations and saying, of course, that they won't have her on to allow her to kind of levy these accusations to them so that they can give her the responses to them. Ding. There we go. I think we got it. So, anyway, what's been happening here is a tit for tat. And it looks like TPUSA called her bluff and said that they were going to do a live response and invited her out in person in order to do it. Owens responds here and says, kind of weird how you didn't email or call me to ask about times or availability and chose instead to tweet this confirmation out at midnight. Why am I learning about this on X? December 15th does not work in person, and 2 p.m. Pacific time is also the literal time I do my podcast live every day, which you knew. But we will happily cancel the daily podcast and I'll join you guys virtually instead of the live stream on the 15th if that works on your end. Let's lock it in. Obviously, TPUSA wanting to do this in person instead. Play the video here, Mystery.
Here is what Blake tweeted out just now before we went live on the show. Yesterday, we made it clear that we would be scheduling a formal response to allegations and accusations that you have made. We have decided that that response will be delivered during a live stream, as he said, a live stream on December 15th. Thank you for your response, letting us know that you will not be joining the in-person conversation. We will be proceeding without you. Why are you proceeding without me? To have a conversation that is about me. Why am I getting 24 hours to respond? Why do you need me there in person if you are trying to be sincere and answer the very many questions that I have brought up on this show? You guys weren't even sincere in what you said yesterday. You told
Okay, so pause
some
it there.
glaring.
So this is, to me, this is somewhat bizarre. So I would be chomping at the bit to do this. If I had been making a sequence of allegations about an organization and they were going to do something live and in person where I could then go and confront them with my many quote questions and they were going to be responsive to them, I would be on that in 5 seconds. I would be all over that in 5 seconds. I'd be there. I would fly out, whatever the accommodations needed to be, because that would be a very public forum in which I could levy the criticisms directly along with evidence and ask them how they justify these things. Go ahead.
Lies about things that I have said. So we're supposed to trust that you guys are going to handle this discussion all by yourselves and respond to any and every allegation. And this isn't just some planned PR for once and for all. Like I said, this is so obvious. He is being completely destroyed in the comments because what's happening at Turning Point, and I've seen this happen before, is they now believe that they are smarter than their audience, right? They think they
Yeah,
are
pause it.
smarter.
This is classic well poisoning. Very classic well poisoning. So she's now diving in to how TPUSA believes that they're smarter than their audience, and they're basically think that their audience are fools and that they'll kind of put up with anything. Very classic well poisoning. Before a single menu item is on the table for them to even have a dispute about. Before they can even have a dispute about anything, she's immediately poisoning the well. This is very classic. You see this often. The attempt here is to criticize people involved in that organization in order to make them lose credibility before they could ever even open their mouths in response to anything. Love you, Mr. Wilson. Sorry, I understand that there is some overlap where I have some people here in my chat who are Candace fans. I understand that. I have not ever understood the position exactly of why why it would be the case that you would move towards non-evidence presenting base for worldviews. That I don't get, but I understand that. I love you, Mr. Wilson from Alberta, Canada. What if Candace is right? Then she's right. And if she is, I would issue retractions and say that she's right. But I would need to have some sort of evidence to move in that direction, which I suspect most of you would as well. Keep going.
And they're small pocket donors. They can pull such an obviously crappy public move like this and pretend, well, we tried. We tried. You know, she said she could make it work and we tried, but it has to be physically, she needs to be in person, even though we have shown that we have people join us not in person and it's live streamed and we both have the tech abilities to do that. If she doesn't make this work within 24 hours, we can now say that it's on Candace. This
Well,
is
how
a
is this?
disaster.
This is bizarre because it didn't look to me like they were saying in 24 hours. When was this scheduled, Mr. Enigmatic? Take a look real quick at the post. I don't think it was 24 hours. The original TPUSA post about this.
Let me just, I already closed that tab. Give me 1 second.
She wants to show up and do it, Andrew. It's super obvious they don't want her there. Why don't you like her? Poisoning the well. It's not a debate yet. Steven Crowder doesn't like her. So what? It has nothing to do with Crowder liking her or not. And when you say like, I'm not talking about interpersonally, right? I don't know enough about this woman to dislike her personally. There are women I do personally dislike. I don't know her in order to make a value assessment that way of like or dislike. What my criticisms are is that she asserts very many things without positive evidence, which makes me question the things that she says as being fundamentally untrue. The latest debacle, especially where without any good compelling evidence, she made an ambiguous tweet where she was claiming that there potentially could be a press conference coming soon about a potential assassination plot, which included her. That was
And
all
it
of that
was,
was total and complete.
as December 15th, 4 p.m.
December 15th. Now, I'm sorry, last I checked, today is the 4th. So I'm not sure how that would equate to 24 hours unless I missed something.
It's for the
Candace started
in-person event
off
they're
low tier
saying.
based, weak minds are easily manipulated. Well, there's a form of this. The form of this is called cognitive framing hypnosis. You can look up the term cognitive framing hypnosis. What cognitive framing hypnosis is that within the context of you framing certain events and then you asserting questions as though those questions don't have inferences, you present yourself as, and with your framing, as though an event did happen a certain way, but can't be actually held liable for it. And this is what I consider to be the self destructive stylistics of Candace Owens. By the way, I'm getting a slight echo from you, Mr. E, probably bleeding through your ears as usual. If Sarah Tomato told
I'll turn my
you
headphones down.
that the debate would be on such and such a date, you would tell her to go pound sand. That's true. I would. But don't you see the distinction there? The distinction there is that I have the leverage, right? I can tell you to go pound sand. However, if I was criticizing a much larger organization than myself, and they said, "Hey, we're going to do this on this such and such day, and that's the time you can participate or not participate," then I think that I would probably participate. But now you're piling on to someone who you would do the same thing you would. No, that's not the case. I don't think that this is an equatable position at all. So if I was building some sort of maxim case against the positions of Sarah Tomato, and she was going to issue this massive response to all of the things that I had been saying about her, let's say, and then invited me on the day that she was going to reveal these answers so that I could both contest and defend myself, I think I would go do that. Yeah. I mean, I think I would. So I don't know if I would grant this criticism as being a good one because I don't think it is.
Okay? It is a dumpster fire. That's the only way to describe what is happening at Turning Point USA today and right now is a dumpster fire. Everyone can read this for what it is. As I said, they are getting destroyed in the comments. Like, really, guys? Really? You're not going to just send us a simple live stream link and let us join you? We've had people on this show live streamed. We could have them tomorrow. I said, in response, I said to them, I'll make this work. I also attached to that tweet any day leading up to the 15th. We can do this virtually any place and any time. But no, they need to have it in person in Phoenix on December 15th, or they cannot have me at all. Is that passing the vibe check for you guys?
Kind of,
Does it seem
yes.
like
So
more posturing?
it kind of does. Here's why. So when you're in person, right? The sort of the subtle shifts in the way that you will present information and things like this, not to mention the fact that you can't just disconnect your broadcast, have technical difficulties, various issues like this. I think there is some advantage to doing things like this in person if it can be arranged. I don't see why it couldn't be arranged in her place. That would be, of course, internet breaking to have Candace Owens in person presenting her grievances against TPUSA in front of what would obviously be millions of people ultimately. Candace went down the road of question everything so hard sanity gets left behind. True. Whether you know it or not, you, sir, are doing God's work. I'm truly glad you're on our side. You are fortunate for that. That's true. You are fortunate for that I'm on your side and not on the enemy's side. But anyway, go ahead, Mystery. Continue.
And more of a way for them to simply be in the room with themselves as they all lie without any person in the room to be able to fact check those lies, who have researched those lies and who have kept a list regarding the very many lies they are telling. Okay. I maintain that Turning Point is engaged in a cover up. That is how I feel. Okay. And like I said, it pains me to say that because this was once a bright spot in the conservative movement. It
All
is
right.
no longer.
Pause it
They are
again.
using.
So there's the allegation, right? That is how I feel. Notice the word feel. I believe that Turning Point USA is involved in a cover up. Well, a cover up of what? I've been looking and I can't actually figure out what the allegation is in regards to what she's claiming Turning Point USA is in fact covering up. Nothing. Rather, she tries to point to various things like inconsistencies in responses and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but never actually, she always falls short of the allegation of what Turning Point USA is supposedly covering up. Here she reasserts the claim. Where's the evidence for the claim and what are they covering up? Why is it so difficult to be specific in the things in which you're levying the criticisms on? That's always been very bothersome to me. TPUSA said Candace had 24 hours to respond in an X post posted at midnight. So what? That's a long time to respond. It's 24 hours.
Yeah, that's to say whether or not you can make it, 10,
Yeah,
15
that's
days
it.
later.
You got 24 hours to let us know if you can make it or not.
Yeah,
I'm not
seems
even sure
reasonable.
that that's unrealistic to me.
They likely have
But even
several other
if
people they're
but
trying to
even if
book
the
as well, right?
criticism, we can just grant it that the criticism is unrealistic, that they're using strong arm tactics, let's say. Well, they have the leverage to do that, right? Basically, this is the person who is the criticizer. The person who is being criticized kind of has the ultimate leverage of the right of response. And if you don't want to go to where their right of response is when they would invited you as the criticizer, then I think that that puts you in a position of weakness. Well, to be honest, if Andrew was on the other side, he would obviously be stupid, thus useless. Perhaps. Hi, Andrew. Do you think Candace is a leftist plant who was installed years ago to get the right wing audience to follow her and then divide the conservatives with non evidence claims of wrongdoing? I don't think so. The thing is, I know that there's been a lot of that stuff thrown around. I would just put it like this: never attribute to conspiracy what can easily be explained through stupidity. While I agree that conspiracies are an actual thing, from the federal government all the way down to the media level, and many have been uncovered over the years, many, many, many. That does not mean that there was some conspiracy to put Candace Owens in a position to make the right wing look bad on purpose. I think that having such a conspiracy kind of minded position where that's what you focus on is silly. Instead, it's more likely to me that people will try different things when they're in media. She had some notoriety from the large contract shows that she was on, and she was able to capitalize on that on her own program, moving into a sort of tried and true methodology, which is I'm just asking questions. The problem is the delivery system has to be done in such a way where the questions in which you're asking are not making inferences, and you don't come to conclusions before you should, like there's a conspiracy cover up to do X thing, but I can't tell you what X thing is that's being covered up. So, no, I'm not convinced of that at all. And I think that we would be well served, in making sure that we try to utilize some standard for evidence when we make claims about anything, not just from the perspective of philosophy, but from the perspective of materialism as well. You would not want to have a very high profile personality making tons and tons of accusations about you absent evidence and having hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people believe it due to how it's presented through this form of cognitive framing. And so I do think that it's justifiable that there's a response incoming. And I do think that they have the leverage and can produce that leverage how they see fit.